It's also late news this afternoon. The Ravens have requested an interview with Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz for their head coaching job, according to sources. Schwartz did interview with the Browns for the job as well, but that is the first outside of the building request for the Browns defensive coordinator. And yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Certainly. And, we spoke about this last week, when we talked last week, Dave, about Jim Schwartz. This was going to become, Tommy Rees, if he doesn't get the job, I don't think that, Tommy Rees is in a position, certainly from his age, and certainly from the point of where he is in his career, that maybe it would change much things. I think for Tommy Rees, there was an interview because he's a young coach, working for your organization. You want to start grooming him up, and you do him that favor. But if Jim Schwartz, and I think a lot of people agree that he's not going to get the head coaching job, it leaves this really difficult situation. You know what I'm saying? Because, there's not many couples that stay together after one proposes, right? That's usually the end of a relationship from that point on. For Jim Schwartz, however, it could be a situation, he could stay because you're going to go with basically a young head coach, which certainly that looks like there's some young offensive minds that they're extremely interested in. And therefore, you can make the head coach's life easier by basically saying, come in, we're going to focus everything on getting the talent in the building. You get your system in place. Don't worry about the other side of the ball. Jim can handle that for you. But Jim has to agree to do that. It is interesting that Jim did get, a head coaching interview outside of the building. And the AFC North is always weird because there's always so many people that have been in, more than one place within the division. Some guys have been to 2 to 3 spots in the division, whether it's players, coaches, staff, etc. But it does show you that Jim, and at least what he's been doing has some value. Do I think anybody is going to give Jim Schwartz a head coaching job this year? I probably don't. Does he deserve it? That's difficult to say because the Browns defense was really good. Yes, he coached it really well, but it was also really good just from the, the talent that it was around there. But, Jim Schwartz is going to be interesting because, I think there's cases that can be made for Jim Schwartz where he is maybe a head coach this year. He is maybe the defensive coordinator in Cleveland, or maybe he just goes home for a year.